That's what it cost to bring the greatest footballer alive to America. But the number alone doesn't tell the story. Before Messi, Major League Soccer was a footnote, a league where aging stars came to fade. Then he arrived, and everything flipped. Inter Miami's revenue surged 350%. His jersey became the top seller worldwide. Apple TV subscriptions spiked. A single player turned a niche sport into a national obsession. Yet here's the twist, it almost didn't happen. Messi had a $1 billion offer from Saudi Arabia. He chose Miami instead. Why? The answer isn't just money. It's a story of timing, ambition, and a league that bet everything on one man. But that bet came with a hidden cost, a contradiction that would reshape the sport in ways no one predicted. This is how Lionel Messi changed American soccer forever, and why the game will never be the same. The day Lionel Messi announced he was leaving Europe, the soccer world held its breath. Everyone expected a final payday in Saudi Arabia, a $1 billion plus offer, enough to buy a small country. Instead, he chose Miami. Why? The numbers alone don't explain it. But that's not the whole story. He also took a 10% ownership stake in the club, a first for an active MLS player. That means his future is tied to the team's growth, not just his paycheck. Within weeks, Inter Miami's revenue surged 350% after Messi's arrival. His jersey became the top-selling kit worldwide. Apple TV subscriptions spiked as fans rushed to watch every match. Record viewership followed. America, long indifferent to soccer, suddenly couldn't look away. But here's the twist. Messi turned down a fortune in Saudi Arabia for a league that, just years earlier, was a punchline. He chose a club that was struggling, a league fighting for relevance. Why? The answer lies in a deal that changed everything and a team that had nothing to lose. But how did a struggling MLS team pull off the impossible? The contract was unlike anything MLS had ever seen. Messi didn't just sign for a salary, he took a 10% ownership stake in Inter Miami, a first for an active player in the league. That stake meant he wasn't just an employee, he was a partner. Every jersey sold, every ticket bought, every Apple TV subscription that came because of him, he shared in the revenue. The deal was structured so that Messi's success was the club's success, and vice versa. But the real genius was in the timing. Apple had just signed a 10-year broadcast deal with MLS, and Messi's arrival turned that partnership into a global event. Subscriptions surged, viewership records shattered. The league went from niche to unavoidable. Yet the ownership stake was the hidden lever. It gave Messi a reason to stay, to promote, to perform beyond the pitch. He wasn't just playing for a trophy, he was building equity. So how did this deal turn Inter Miami into a financial powerhouse overnight? Subscribe to see how sports legends change the game. The night Messi first stepped onto an MLS pitch, the stadium felt different. Not just full electric, every seat taken, every eye locked on number 10. But the real shock came through the TV. Apple TV, the league's new broadcast partner, had bet big on this moment. They didn't just get a bump in subscribers, they got a flood. Viewership numbers that dwarfed anything MLS had ever seen, by a factor that made executives blink. Ticket prices for road games tripled overnight. Scalpers made fortunes, and when Messi's jersey hit the shelves, it became the top-selling kit on the planet, outselling every other athlete in any sport. Yet the numbers only tell part of the story. The real shift was cultural. In Dallas, for his first road game, fans camped outside the team hotel just to catch a glimpse. The media followed his every step. Suddenly, soccer wasn't a niche sport in America. It was the story. Inter Miami's revenue surged by a staggering margin after his arrival, a figure that turned the league's economics upside down. But was this just a short-term spike, or the start of something bigger? Apple TV bet on MLS when few believed soccer could break through in America. The streaming deal was a gamble, a league with modest ratings, a fragmented audience, and no global star. But then Messi said yes. Suddenly, the math changed. Subscriptions to MLS Season Pass soared. Fans who never watched a single MLS match now paid monthly just to see one man play. The league's digital infrastructure, built for a niche audience, strained under the weight of millions of new viewers. Apple didn't just get a player, they got a gateway. Every Messi goal, every assist, every moment became a reason to stay subscribed. Inter Miami's revenue surged 350% after his arrival, a direct consequence of the streaming deal turning casual curiosity into paid loyalty. The jersey became the top-selling kit worldwide. Not in America, everywhere. A single player made a league's merchandise global. Apple's bet wasn't on soccer. It was on the one athlete who could make America care. But the real question isn't about subscriptions or sales, it's about what happens next. How did this partnership change the way America watches soccer? The elevator doors opened onto a quiet hallway. Outside the Renaissance Plano Hotel, the street was empty. No crowds, no chanting. For a moment, it felt like any other Tuesday in Texas. But inside that hotel, the world's greatest footballer was preparing for his first road game in America, and by kickoff, the silence would be shattered. Dallas that night became a pilgrimage. Fans flew in from Seattle, from Chicago, from New York. They wore pink jerseys that had sold out within hours of his signing. The stadium, normally a modest venue for a mid-season match, swelled with a roar that hadn't been heard in MLS before. Every touch of the ball drew a collective gasp. Every pass, a held breath. The cameras caught not just the game, but the faces in the stands. Children holding handmade signs, adults crying, a father lifting his son onto his shoulders so the boy could see the number 10. The media descended like a storm. Reporters from outlets that never covered soccer, sports, radio, national news, even fashion magazines jostled for a glimpse. The match itself became secondary. What mattered was the moment. A global icon, in a league that had long been dismissed, playing in a city that had never seen anything like it. Was this the day America finally fell in love with soccer? The jersey became a symbol. Within weeks of Messi's arrival, his Inter Miami kit was the top-selling shirt on the planet, outselling every star in Europe, every icon in basketball. Fans in Tokyo, Buenos Aires, and London wore the pink and black. But the real shift happened on screens. MLS viewership numbers climbed to levels the league had never seen. Apple TV, which had bet the entire broadcast future on this moment, watched subscription numbers surge. The gamble was paying off. Yet the question lingers. One man can fill stadiums, sell jerseys, and drive streaming signups. But can he change a culture? Soccer in America has always been the sport of the future, perpetually arriving, never quite arrived. Messi's presence forced a reckoning. Kids who once idolized basketball players now mimic his left-footed curl. Parents who never watched MLS now plan weekends around Inter Miami matches. The league's revenue jumped, its global profile rose, and the world started paying attention to a competition it had long ignored. But the real test comes after Messi. When the greatest player in history finally hangs up his boots, will the momentum hold, or will American soccer slip back into the shadows? The answer will define the next decade. What's next for soccer in the US? The world's greatest footballer landed in America, and he didn't just join a team. He ignited a league. Picture the scene outside a hotel in Plano, Texas, in 2023. Strangely calm. No crowds, no chaos. That was the quiet before the storm. Hours later, Messi stepped onto a field in Dallas for his first road game. The stadium erupted. Record viewership, jerseys sold out worldwide. Apple TV subscriptions surged by a factor that stunned analysts. Inter Miami's revenue jumped 350%. One man, one move, and suddenly, America cared about soccer. But here's the lesson. One superstar can rewrite the economics of an entire sport, yet the real power lies in the infrastructure that catches the wave. The ambition was clear, the ethics murkier. A league built on parity now had a single player earning more than every other teammate combined. The same trait that built the empire, unprecedented individual investment, became the flaw that could break it. When Messi eventually leaves, what remains the next hidden monopoly isn't on the pitch. It's in the streaming deal that controls how you watch. Apple TV owns the rights, they own the narrative, and they're just getting started. The monopoly matrix, where business meets the beautiful game.